All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And there's no God beside him. Double honesty, the elder apostles of Great Millstone, for being faithful witnesses to the Holy Spirit. Shalom to the elect, whom the Most High have given ears to hear. Today's lesson I want to get into is how martial law is inevitable. And it goes by way of this article I was checking out. It's a pretty good one. It says a wider war will bring inevitable attempts at martial law in America. Now I'm just gonna jump down to the point, right? Or close to the point. It says right here, it says martial law in the US would only ever work if a majority of conservatives support it. This is a fact. Without our backing, martial law will fail, just as the CV mandates fail. Keep in mind, Biden and his globalist friends have used every possible tactic to make martial law an inevitability. Economic instability and stagflation have created a spike in violent crime and looting. Mass illegal migration is dragging down state welfare systems and is creating a trend of cultural dilution. Open borders have allowed any number of possible foreign hostilities in the US. It says, in the midst of war, the government desire to control information and public discourse will be at its apex. However, as we have seen during CV and the Ukraine war, they have not proven effective at accomplishing this. As long as the internet is in place, it does not matter what kind of algorithms big tech applies to stifle the truth. The truth still finds a way. This means that the establishment will have to pursue extreme measures that could only be achieved within a martial law environment. I see this situation going one of two ways if the current geopolitical trend continues. And we know that it will continue because America, as well as the rest of the world, is slated to go another direction in terms of the monetary system. On top of that, America is slated to go to war with the nations of the East. You can grab Revelation 16 and 12, Joel 2 and 20. All right. The Lord's determination is to gather the nations in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, as the scriptures say, which the Valley of Jehoshaphat is in the Arabian Peninsula. This is why things are going crazy over there. Within a month, you got Iran talking about joining in the war. Turkey, is scolding Israel. Hell, even the common American citizen is scolding Israel. All right. So the world is not with America. They're not backing the genocide happening in Palestine at this point in time. Right? So as we read through these options, I believe, what the scriptures say, so I can say for sure that both of these options and then some is going to happen in these coming days. Now, can I tell you exactly when? No, I cannot. All right? But the scriptures speak about how we should measure the times diligently in themselves. And as we just read through, right, where it says economic instability and stagflation have created a spike in violent crime and looting. All right? To this day, they're talking about cutting a lot more jobs. All right? Whereas people have less money to spend, and now things are getting a lot more expensive. All right, starting from 2020, the CV situation. This is mass illegal migration is dragging down state welfare, which Biden is pushing for to open up the borders. And I seen something the other day where Texas was saying how I think they passed it through the Supreme Court where they're not allowing, the immigrants to just essentially destroy their economy. So it says mass illegal migration is dragging down state welfare states systems and is creating a trend of cultural dilution. And you got to know that the people, your average citizen, is not going to go, for them paying more taxes for people that they don't believe belong here. All right? So there's going to be war in the streets. The scriptures tell us that. There shall be war in the streets. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. Nevertheless, as we read through to option A, it says, a multi-front war breaks out in the Middle East, including nations like Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Yemen. Israel faces serious failure. The U.S. is dragged into the war, or Israel uses its nuclear arsenal to destroy the resources, including populations of enemy nations, leading to the possible involvement of China and Russia, and thus the U.S. is still dragged in. Again, Joel 2:20 says, I will remove far off from you the northern army. The northern army is the North American military. Right? So whereas, the common person might read this as a possible scenario, we know these things are definitely going to happen. As his riots and terror attacks become a regular occurrence in the U.S., not just initiated by Muslim infiltrators, but also leftists who have attached themselves to the cause. Right? And when you look at the news, there was a video that came out in the Fox News where this reporter tried to make it seem as if pretty much he put the the bug out there to where you can't trust people that wear masks, especially in these days, because they could be undercover they could be undercover agents for Hamas. All right, but at the same time you're pushing, well, first of all, it's cold outside now, so of course people are gonna be wearing scarves and masks, and secondly they're pushing for another Plan D, which that's coming around the corner, flu season, right? So expect to see more terror attacks in the cities. It says a draft is initiated which conservatives support in the hopes that it will help dissolve the riots. The draft will sink millions of weak, soft zennials, including women, into a bloody quagmire that they have no capacity to adapt to. 2 Ezra 16:32. The woman shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. Their bridegroom shall be destroyed in the wars. Draft protests and riots become the norm, pushing conservatives to support even stricter enforcement. Finally, martial law is announced, but the soldiers used on American soil to protect us from riots and terrorists will be primarily foreign nationals. And it makes sense because, again, when you look at what's going on in the American news, a lot of these everyday Americans is not standing for the bullshit, the bullshit agenda that these devils is pushing. Right? Whereas a lot of these soldiers, they know who's the main culprit, or they're finding out in these last days, especially in the time of information, who's the main culprit of these wars. All right? And a lot of these wars are proxy wars, meaning, they are orchestrated. All right, they're orchestrated for a bigger agenda. So it says draft protests and riots become the norm, pushing conservatives to support even stricter enforcement. Finally, martial law is announced, but the soldiers used on American soil to protect us from riots and terrorists will be primarily foreign nationals. You know, illegal migrants given an easy shot at citizenry if they join the military and put the boot down on dissenters, which they will gladly do because they have no cultural attachment to America or Americans. At this stage, the Constitution will essentially die. Option B, it says, the war expands and Israel faces imminent destruction. All right, and you see how both options pretty much the war expands. Does it not tell us in Revelations 11, all right, that Revelations 9, that the third woe cometh quickly. The third woe stands for the third Third World War. Right? Let's grab it. This is the book of Revelation 9, verse 11. What was that? Where is it? Revelation 11, verse 14, the second woe was past. The second woe stands for World War II. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Right? At this point in time, you know, time is moving very fast. And every day, great things are happening as far as prophecy is concerned. To where I didn't even realize it. Just 3 weeks has passed that fast. You know, it seems like just yesterday when you know, Israel and Hamas started exchanging blows at a crazy level. All right, now Israel is staging ground troops over there in Gaza. You know, you got America sending more military, you know, and more personnel, more artillery over to that region. You know, so yes, the third woe is coming quickly. And then prior to the third woe, which as we read through these options, I think about the MOTB. All right, because in order for them to I think it's going to go into it, but well, they don't mention the MOTB, but in this article, let me just keep reading. It says, he then calls for full deployment of U.S. ground forces to the region, but in this scenario, the majority of conservatives do not support the action, just as they did not support deployment to Ukraine. Biden tries to implement a draft in order to force the momentum. Conservatives refuse to comply or allow their children to be sent to die in a foreign conflict. On this one issue, conservatives and leftists actually agree, even if it's for completely different reasons. The country is then hit with an endless series of terror attacks, each one presented as a reason why the public must back the war. Each attack is cheered by the leftist activists as an act of decolonization. Conservatives see this ploy for what it is and still refuse to support the war, taking an American first position. Why fight overseas when it's America's that's under duress? Biden still attempts martial law. He offers automatic citizenship to illegal immigrants if they serve in the military and use some of these troops as an occupation presence at home. Leftists don't want to fight in the Middle East, but they do like to see migrants given easy citizenship and power. They defend the measure. They figure if the migrants fill the ranks of the military, maybe they won't be drafted. Conservatives rebel America enters balkanization or civil war or both. Patriots are accused of helping the enemies of the United States and are also labeled terrorists. From this point on, anything could happen. And it's at this point or around this time, I would say these devils got to push for a stricter identification process. We don't know who's who. We don't know who's walking around. No place is safe. So now whether they, they implement iris scans or, whatever they got to do, I believe that's going to lead to the MOTB. It's going to lead for the people to, to beg for the MOTB. Because now they have to implement lockdowns. All right, curfews. And as a solution, we don't know who's who, right? They got to implement the MOTB. This is not just in terms of terrorists, but also in terms of civil unrest and war on our doorsteps. So like, I think I skipped this paragraph, but it says, I believe the Israeli trigger may be bigger than CV in terms of the potential global disaster and global tyranny that could unfold. If it continues to escalate and turns into multi-regional conflict, which it will, again, the scriptures say in Jeremiah 49:20 that the Most High would cause the least of the flocks to draw them out. To draw them out to where? To draw them out to a land barren and desolate. To wherein they should fight the enemies that will be prepared, the enemies of the east. Alright, so you got Jeremiah 49:20, which leads to Joel 2:20. Alright, and they're going to meet up with the enemies of the east, as saith Revelation 16:12. Alright, to fight in World War III. If we support the war, martial law is a certainty. Let me read that once more. I believe the Israeli trigger may be bigger than CV in terms of the potential global disaster and global tyranny that could unfold. If it continues to escalate and turns into a multi-regional conflict, the chances of the fight coming back to America are high. Not just in terms of terrorists, but also in terms of civil unrest and war on our doorsteps. If we support the war, martial law is a certainty. If we don't support the war, martial law will be attempted, but at least there are scenarios where it could fail. I would argue that the only thing that will save America at this stage is the growth of America First movement. When we talk about America First, this includes not just American security, but also American freedoms. There is no reason why we can't have it both. All right. Conservatives get lured into World War III, it will be the end. Right? And they will get lured until World War III. Because we're in the time for this devil to fall. I just put it like that. All right? When no one is believing his lies anymore. It tells us in Isaiah 47 that the Lord is going to lift up the skirt of Babylon. Babylon represents America. Right? And the Most High, before he takes him out, he's got to reveal him for who he is. Right? Let's get this. Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. Right? So we're in a time to where the Lord is plucking up that which is planted. All right? That which he have put here. It's not the scripture said that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he setteth up over it whomsoever he will. So he set up Esau, Edom, All right, for everyone to fear him, and his setup is represented in the book of Revelation 13. Right, but his downfall is also represented in his downfall is also represented in that chapter, as he's going to push the number of people. Right, and that's a no-no, especially in the eyesight of the Lord. Right, we push the MOTB that you should not take it, and that you got to know what it is, because this is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. This is going to allow those nuclear missiles to be shot off. All right, but this is the time for this devil to be plucked up. All right, slowly but surely he's being plucked up. First and foremost by his name. All right, or you could say spiritually, nobody believing in his lies. All right, and secondly, by his physically being plucked out. All right, it is written. Let me grab that this particular beast right. Daniel 7 and 11. Right? And these words will come to pass. It says, Daniel 7 and 11, I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. Right? And this devil came out proud, because that's his nature. It says this in Psalms 53, that he cometh out of the womb speaking lies. You know? And he came out speaking blasphemy against the Heavenly Father. Again, you could read Revelation 13. And the Most High allowed it. The Most High allowed it to have power through Greece, through Rome, now through America. All right? And he was able to regain that same vigor as he had in Rome. Where he's able to beat the residue, so much so that, you know, NATO and Europe, you know, signed themselves under him, NATO and the EU. All right? But as Rome fell, so will America. Only difference is that this place is going to be the last hoorah of Esau, Edom. So it says, as concerning the rest of the beasts, they had dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Right? Which this is basically going into the other nations besides Esau will come back after they will be able to be put back in their land after 1,000 years of slavery. I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days. So this is Yahweh Shai coming into Yahweh, and they brought him near before him. And there were given him dominion, Yahweh Shai, glory, kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Right? But this is not the Lord's kingdom, so when will this happen? You got to ask yourself, if his kingdom shall not be destroyed, but we're not in his kingdom, when shall this happen? Obviously, you put two and two together, somebody got to fall. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit, in the midst of my body, in the visions of my head, troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. Right? So here it is, Daniel's had a dream going to the rise and fall of these different nations. It says these great beasts which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. The four major kings: Babylon, Persian and the Medes, the Greeks, the Romans. All right, which Rome fell and came back to America. But it says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. Psalms 148 tells us who the saints are. 148 and 13. And possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I will know the truth of the four beasts. But that was pretty much it, you know. So this devil was slated to fall. He's slated to rise and fall and rise and fall until Yahweh Shai's kingdom. Right? Well, let's keep going. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse for all the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after him, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kingdoms, 3 kings. So essentially this is talking about Rome and its revival through America. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time, and times, and a dividing of times. All right? Again, because the Most High established him, and he gave the saints into his hands. All right? Again, he took us down. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it until the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. You know? Whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and dominion shall serve and obey him. All right? So it's so great that I had to say it twice. All right, verse 18, the saints shall take the kingdom and shall possess it forever. And then in verse 27, again, yeah, you're going to have this strong beast, but he's going to be taken out by the saints. And we see everything, you know, as we broke down through the article, and I brought out particularly or different scriptures, we see how it's going to come to pass. We just don't know when. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in mind, but I kept the matter in my heart. Right? So this is the times we're in. Martial law will happen. And we're going to finish it out here, actually. Ezekiel 7:1 and the NLT, which is called the coming of the end. So it says, then this message came to me from Yahweh. Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says to Israel. The end is here wherever you look, east, west, north, and south. Your land is finished. No hope remains, for I will unleash my anger against you. I will call you to account for all your detestable sins. I will turn my eyes away and show no pity. I will repay you for all your detestable sins. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Disaster after disaster is coming your way. The end has come. It has finally arrived. Your final doom is waiting. Right? We're just talking about, of course, you see the people of Israel. Just want to see something real quick. All right, just want to see something real quick just to make sure I was on point. All right, but the point of me bringing this lesson out was that the end is come. upon the whole inhabitant, or upon the wicked of the inhabitants of the land. I'll say that. So with that, shalom to the elect.